All right, I'm Harjap Bhangal. I'm the guy the BBC's called the immigration guru. I do the big V word. It's not virus. V in Punjabi households is for visa.
Okay.
Yeah, during any conversation, someone has heard this word in a Punjabi household and an Asian household, visa. That's what I do. I help people get visas, passports, and I help people stay here and move places. I'm an immigration lawyer.
Gosh, but I mean, come on. I mean, you've said immigration lawyer, but I mean, the way your career has kind of gone the last few years, have you been in films?
Oh yeah. I've done
Yeah, yeah,
films.
you've done films. You're a host.
I'm on my fourth Punjabi film now. We were shooting one in October in Birmingham, actually, with Jimmy Shergill.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So we're doing one there. We just finished shooting one in Birmingham last year, and that's going to be released this year. So yeah, I host events, but usually just for charity. So I won't do like any paid hosting because I just don't do it. I'm just not comfortable with it, and plus, I only do work for charity, so I do that free. I got a TV show, I do a radio show on the BBC. Yeah, I do a
Come
lot
on,
of
look.
stuff.
Let's face it. You're a celebrity, really, aren't you?
Only a
Definitely,
Z
definitely within the Asian community.
I'm a Z-list celebrity. So A-list celebrities get free watches and free like holidays and private jets. The best I get is if I walk into a restaurant, someone will recognize me and say, "Oh, are you here? You can have the table like at the front." So that's what Z-list celebrities get. We don't really get a lot, but we don't even get a free meal at the end. I've been there, and it has always been inflated by 10 quid. So, but yeah.
I thought that all depends upon the moment you say visa, and then it's like visa. Oh, okay. Listen, not only have you got the table at the front, but the food's all free, the drinks are all free, and
Yeah,
we'll
no,
book you in for next week as well.
mate, visa or no visa, no one gives you food and drink free.
so
I'm
first,
not that much up the list.
so firstly, how has lockdown affected you? Has it affected you in any way, personally or from a business perspective?
From a business point of view, the first couple of weeks were a bit hard, but then we just switched to Skype and Zoom, and everyone started working from home. Everyone took their printers and PCs home, and everyone's got laptops. So it just carried on. The home office has been shut, so that has been awkward. A lot of applications are pending, a lot of visas are pending, and they've only now started coming through. Personally, it was very scary at first because literally I'm recovering from heart surgery in December. I had a heart attack in September. I've had a double bypass. So I was on a high risk, and there's three of us in our house who are shielding. So if coronavirus ever got into one of us, half our family would be dead.
Oh my
That's the
gosh.
bottom line. So yeah, it is hard, but the idea was then how many other households out there like mine don't actually know how to shield, what shielding is, what coronavirus is, especially with the language problems.
Hmm.
So I used my lockdown to go on a mission to educate our community, the Asian community, on what coronavirus is, what's happening every week, what the rules say, what the lockdown rules say, where the discrepancies are, what people should be doing. And I do that quite regularly, and I'm still doing that, still educating every Friday and via my Facebook and my, all my social media. I'm just educating the elders, whose ear I seem to have, that this is what it is. You need to stay safe because we're at the highest risk. Because the myth when it first came out was it doesn't even touch Asians or Upper Bunde, which was exactly the opposite of what was going on.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, all the myths flying about, and so we had to dispel them. And I've used lockdown to do that, sort of, to just warn people, look, this is what it is. You need to stay
Do you
safe.
think the hardest thing is to persuade the elder community, in the sense of, I mean, I had it with my mum and dad. I said to mum and dad, look, there's lockdown, you can't go out. And mum's like, oh yeah, no worries, we won't go out. I mean, mum and dad, they live slightly away from us. Next thing I know, mum's round at the house. She's all, look, I've made aloo sabji, I've made potato curry for you. She's not. I'm like, mum, what are you doing? It's lockdown. You can't. No. It's not going to happen to us. Nothing's going to happen to us. I'm phoning her up. I'm going, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I've got my friend round the house. I'm like, mum, it's lockdown. She's like, look, we've been through worse. I mean, do you think there's that whole kind of thing of, in terms of the elder generation, because of what they've been through, where they think, you know what, we'll have all our spices. We'll get through this. We'll have haldi golden milk, and that will keep us safe. How do you, I'm not saying that those things don't help, but how do you get them to think beyond that?
Vimal, the hardest thing to change is a mindset. So that's the hardest thing I found, that is to change. And for the last 15 odd years on the TV show, that's what I've been trying to change. And it was so hard, and it's so hard to change it. And it's taken weeks to try and drum it in, but finally it is getting through.
Yeah.
When the mask situation out, I'm sure you saw the mask.
Yeah, yeah.
Video, right? Yeah, right. And it went viral. And that's exactly how people were wearing it, on their chins, dangling from the ear. They were walking about underneath the nose. And a lot of people weren't. I saw auntia, age 60, 65, on the bus with 2 bags of shopping with no mask, on a bus, right? Which is a hub for coronavirus.
Yeah.
They just didn't care. People didn't care. And it was especially in areas like Southall, Slough, Soho Road, Smethwick. And even now, the figures reflect that, because on the high lists areas of where the risk of coronavirus is, a lot of them are Asian areas.
Yeah.
So Manchester, Luton, Bradford, Smethwick, Sandwell, Birmingham. They talk about Birmingham going into lockdown.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a Slough around here. So there's quite a lot of Asian areas, and obviously it doesn't reflect well.
Yeah.
So when people look at it, they think, it's the Asian areas, and then you think, well, actually, it's not just the Asian areas. There are other non-Asian areas as well, but it just seems that we get highlighted. It wasn't us on Bournemouth Beach. Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't us going on holidays, returning back from France and all that. We've been stuck indoors. Yeah. Everyone knows now that Asians and black people are at a threat the highest. But yeah, it just seems, the hardest thing is to change your mindset, to try and say, look, there's many reasons why you need to stay in, but the main one is just to be safe.
Yeah. Do you think it is that kind of thing of whereby many of us in the Asian community might think, oh, I'm immune to it. I just feel I'm immune to it. And again, it's that kind of mindset of saying you're not immune to it, and that whole thing of it's, whilst I was growing up, I still get it now, when my mum will say, make sure you're having black peppers, make sure you're having long, make sure you're having haldi, which are great because you kind of go, they aid those things. But it's trying to get through to, I think, many in the community and go, look, that's part of it, but you also need to make sure you're not going out and mixing with, we are great social animals generally in the Asian community. We want to mix with everyone. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are. It's part of our lifestyle. So again, it's that suddenly you're saying to somebody, I know you see him every day, but now you're not seeing him. You're not seeing him for the next 5 months.
Vimal, it's what it is. It's 2 elements. One is that, perhaps our community think, you know what, we're immune to it. There's another element in the things that we just leave it to God. Right? Yeah. Whatever God's going to do. If I'm going to die tomorrow, I'm going to die. It's all down to God. Yeah. And okay, fair enough. If that's the theory, why don't you just stand in front of a bus?
Yeah.
Let's see what happens, right? But the other is, there's a small element of this, and it's you're my kid. You're not telling me what to do. Right? And the parents hate being told what to do by kids.
Yeah.
And usually you try and tell your parents, right, you have to do something, it'll have an opposite reaction. They'll go out and do exactly the opposite. They know they're doing it, but just to show you, you know what, you can't dictate my life. And the elders felt that. I think they felt that a little bit like, you can't tell us what to do. You can't take away our social life. If I want to go down to the Gurdwara or Mandir or mosque and meet people, then I'm going to do that. If I'm going to go shopping on Soho Road, I'm going to do that. You can't disrupt my daily routine. And it's not like we're telling you what to do. It's what you need to do to stay alive.
Yeah.
And then what happened was, we're very reactive as a community. Until about 1,000 people die in our community, we don't really get the message. And so, which is a shame, whereas we should have been proactive. But we've never been proactive on any issues, the Asian community. We're always reactive. And unfortunately, that's what happened. When people near and dear started dying, then people started realizing, oh, right, maybe I should stay in. And when people saw the state of, you know what, there's not even any funerals. There's not even any guts here. There's no sources. There's no baths. There's nothing like that that's going on. And then when people realize, this is serious stuff. There's 1,000 people dying a day. Mm-hmm. That's when they realize that, maybe we should stay in.
Yeah.
And they have reacted, whether it's enough or not, we'll only find out once the coronavirus is finished and we get the true death tolls, and we actually find out as
Yeah.
to who's passed away and not. At the moment, the only way we're finding out is through social media.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of elders are on social media. So
Yeah.
what's going to happen is that because there's no bigger sources, there's no going around people's houses to, commemorate losses and to pay condolences. We don't really know. So I'm finding out weeks after, what, X person died of coronavirus. I'm like, bloody hell. And usually I would have found out the next day. So, I mean, the true toll, we're not going to find out, but at least our community is reacting. And at least now we're getting past these little nuances and past that stage. I know that where we think, oh, no one's telling me what to do, or this is all a hoax. We're immune to it. I saw two main videos I saw, which I've really lashed out at. One was of this woman telling everyone to eat onions to make them immune from coronavirus, which was absolutely pathetic. And as a result of that, a lot of onions, like we've ran out of shops, ran out of stock. And I'm like, you're going to get Risha, all these onions, if anything. But and the other one was this guy from Australia telling everyone, drink a bottle of whiskey, you'll be fine. And these were serious videos. And I was like, you know what, someone's going to actually take this seriously. And, there's a lot of myths. So it's to dispel the myths, and it's, at least people are reacting now. People are realizing, what, let's watch the news, the word's out there. A lot of other people have helped to try and explain the situation. But yeah, the language barrier needs to be broken down, and hopefully that's what I do in the crossover. I help the elders get the message.
And I assume it's that thing of whereby us, as all people, what we can do is we can share those particular stories. If we do, and it's kind of sad in the sense, if we do hear of anyone getting coronavirus or passing away, we need to share that information. Recently in our community, there was an elderly couple who both passed away because of CV, kind of connected, but what the truth where it came along was that there was only 20 people or 30 people that were allowed to go to the funeral. So people couldn't go around and pay their respects. So again, it's that kind of thing of when you're suddenly sharing those stories, people are slowly waking up and going, oh my gosh, this is actually quite serious, because let's face it, with most Asian weddings, funerals, and you name it, whatever, there's minimum 500 people with that kind of stuff. And suddenly when you're told there's only 30 people, that's when they start realizing, I see it.
We had when the coronavirus first broke out, so there was a father and daughter. Dad used to work in immigration. Daughter was a pharmacist. Daughter's in her 30s, unmarried. Dad obviously in his 60s. Dad got the coronavirus, went to hospital. 24 hours, the daughter was in hospital too. Dad passed away first. Within the 24 hours, daughter passed away. That's half the family finished in 24 hours. I've got a friend's dad who got corona. Sunday, he was perfect. Got corona on the Monday, went to hospital, dead by Thursday.
Gosh.
That's how quickly it kills the lungs and attacks it and finishes you off. And if you've got a weak immune system, and if you've got a weak lungs, or you've got like underlying problems like bronchitis or asthma, or you've got blood pressure problems, or you've got heart problems, or you've got diabetes, then you're not in the best of shape anyway. So it was, and stories like this became common. And when young people started dying, 30s and 40s, that's when people really sort of woke up and thought, you know what, this is a problem. And this is just not just elderlies who are ready to die dying. This is a serious problem. There are people at our age who are dying. We had a DJ down here in Hounslow. He was in his 30s. He passed away. So, you're right. The stories slowly started coming out, but someone needs to tell them, because if this happened normally, during a normal situation, a youngster died, you can guarantee all of the UK would have known about it in the Punjabi community, but people weren't finding out because there were online funerals. You couldn't hug people who have passed away. You couldn't even see their bodies. They were closed coffins, because anyone who's infected has to have a closed coffin. I can't even imagine what the relatives went through. I can't even imagine that, what sort of situation they've gone through. And it's to getting that message out there. And every week I was hammering home this message. Look, this is the state and this is the reality. And this is how it is. And until people then started getting their own stories out, no one really took it seriously. And now people obviously now, getting their stories out and people are realizing, and people are a lot more cautious. I'm glad to see that, not as much as we could be,
Yeah.
but we're still, a lot better than when it first broke out.
I assume
At
there's
least
that whole thing. I assume there's still that thing of whereby there are mixed government messages sometimes where
totally, mate.
we're unsure as to whether we should go out, whether we should stay home. I mean, what would your general advice be to people out there? Would you say, look, go out, or would you kind of say, look, if you're going to go out, make sure you're wearing your masks, or don't mix with the community, or would you have a general message for people?
So I go out, but I try and go out to open spaces. Yeah, I'll wear gloves and I'll wear my mask. That's what my message would be. My message would be, if you're over 75, then stay in. But because coronavirus hasn't gone away, even though the government might tell you that, you might get a message it has, it just means they've got more hospital beds free. That's the reality, that there's loads of hospital beds free now. So yeah, if you do get it, that's fine. We've got space for you. When it first broke out, they were on breaking point with the hospitals, but now they've handled it. And, and I just think the messages are wrong. It's not a coincidence that in the eyes of the people, the countries with the highest death rates are those with leaders that the people see as incompetent. Whether you get the US, whether you've got Brazil, whether you've got the UK. Yeah, the leaders don't poll well in these countries. Yeah, they don't bode well. They don't say the right things. They go missing, and they haven't handled it at all. They haven't handled it at all. You cannot rely on this government to save you. And the message now is all about the economy. We had Matt Hancock say the other day, Vimal, that it's all right to go back to offices. There's no risk of coronavirus. Get back in the office. This is a guy who contracted the virus himself in an office, saw his colleagues get it, saw his boss, Boris Johnson, get it in an office, and he's telling everyone it's safe to go back to offices. You won't get corona in offices. This is the hypocrisy of the messages that are going out. And this tells you this government doesn't care about your family, mate. It doesn't care about my family. Its back is to the wall, and it just cares about the money coming in and the economy coming in. I live right next to Heathrow. You will not believe, while we had this conversation, I've heard about 5 planes go past. Right? All these planes are coming in full. There's no checking at the airport. I came back in March myself from India. Now in India, which a country which we look at as lax and, there's no hygiene there, they were well on it at the airport. They had masks and gloves and they were sanitizing, and all the staff had masks. When I came back to Heathrow, there was no precautions. This job was normal. Baggage handlers, all right, mate, all the immigration staff. And I was like, how can India be on it and the UK be so lax? And this was it. We had plane loads and plane loads of people coming in from Italy, US, China, possibly carrying the virus. And, we just never shut it down. And we still haven't. When the airports are still open and people are coming in a day. 50,000 people are coming in every day to the UK. That's 350,000 people a week from Europe, from other countries. How are you going to stop this virus if you're not locking it down? Look at New Zealand. Look at the way they lock it down. And, they go for weeks without the virus. 2 people went from the UK for a funeral, and then the virus broke out again. And then they had to lock the country down.
How has it impacted you? Because obviously you talk about with your heart condition that you've had, and obviously within the family itself. Has it changed maybe your attitude towards life as well? And also, has your whole attitude kind of changed just generally? And then obviously with the lockdown itself, that's also had an impact on you?
My life changed with 2 significant things, I think. 3 possibly significant things. One, when I had my daughter, Kushi, after all these years of trying and being told we couldn't have kids, that was a struggle after miscarriages. And I shared my story on that on social media and on TV and on radio, that we shouldn't give up hope. If you haven't got kids, never give up trying. Do what you need to do to have your kids. Don't deny your chance of being parents. And just, I understand the whole faith thing. Yeah, leave it all in God's hands. Yeah. But, we don't do that with our roti. We don't say, right, God will put the burki in our mouth and move our mouth like this. Yeah. We do that ourselves, yeah? We don't say, right, God will make us go to work and therefore get us paid at the end. We don't say, God, if I get paid, it's all right. If I don't get paid, it's,
Yeah.
So there's that's one of the major things. I had a daughter and I've got 2 kids now. And once again, with the second one, we had miscarriage after miscarriage. And I didn't really know what miscarriage was about. I never appreciated it. I never appreciated the effect it had. And it's a taboo subject in the community. Until you have kids, you're almost ostracized by the community. People actually think you're cursed. They won't even let you touch their own kids because they think you're cursed. We had literally had that. And that's the first major event. The second major event was in 2014. I had a back operation and I slipped 3 discs. And I just, not even if I do weights or exercise, but just with bad posture, wear and tear and traveling. I used to travel a lot and I had a back operation that was life-changing. Took me a year to rehabilitate. And the third one has been my heart attack. I went literally on a Tuesday. I was in West Brom. I had a jacket potato. I came back and I thought, I thought this is sitting on my chest. So I told Mum, and what does Mum say? This year large. She goes, Jabila. So any problem you get, Mum, I've got this big problem. I've cut my arm off. Not Jabila, but Jabila. I thought I'd have a cup of tea. Wednesday, I went to the gym. I thought, you know what? It's because I haven't been to the gym. I went to the gym for a 5K run, sauna and steam. Still had this sort of tightness in my chest, like an acidy feeling. Thursday, I do the school runs. So Mum, before I left, Mum goes, you still got that sort of tightness? And I said, yeah. She goes, get it checked out. Might be gas. So I said, all right. I dropped daughter off, drove myself into the hospital. Luckily, there was no one there at A&E. First time in my life, no one there at A&E, right? This is not even in a COVID situation. This is like September last year. Walked in, they said, we'll put you on an ECG machine. They go, no, it's fine, must be acid, but we'll take your blood anyway. When the blood test results came back, that's when everything started happening. And they wouldn't tell me what's wrong. And they just mentioned one word whilst talking to each other, which I overheard, called troponin. So I Googled it. It says an enzyme released when you're having a heart attack. And they kept saying, troponin's high, troponin's high. Then the doctor turned around and he goes, look, there's something wrong with your heart. And I said to him, well, you better fix it, mate. I've got to pick my daughter up at 3 o'clock. And he goes, you do better. You ain't going nowhere. You're having a heart attack. And he goes, you've been having one since Tuesday.
Oh my gosh.
And if you hadn't walked in 12 hours, you would have been collapsed on the street somewhere. He goes, we have to take you to surgery now. Mate, when he said that, I didn't know what to do. My whole world became zero. My property, my business, my bank balances, my cars, my watches, my phone, everything. All I kept on thinking about was my 2 kids. So I phoned my dad. I phoned my wife. She came running down. My dad came running down. My dad stayed with me. My wife had to pick my daughter up. They literally took me into surgery. They started looking at my heart while I was awake. And I remember the doctor, all he goes is, what the heck are you doing in here? You're 44. And I said, he goes, people only in their 60s and 70s come in. And I said, well, you tell me. And while he was looking inside my heart, all he kept on saying was, wow, wow. And I said, that's not a good wow, is it? And he goes, no. He goes, that's not a good wow. And I said, well, what is the problem? And he goes, you know what? Your arteries are like a 70-year-old. He goes, what have you been doing? And I said, probably neglecting myself, like drinking and eating out. And he goes, you know what? You need to sort this out. We might have to do a bypass on you. And I said, my dad had one like 10 years ago when he was in his 60s. And he goes, yeah, you're going to need one because you're young and I don't know how to play it. He goes, we're going to have a meeting. Mate, at that point, I remember I was on an operating table. Do you know what you think? Everything goes zero. That my only thought was, God, get me through the day. And tomorrow, main banda ban jaunga. And I thought, let me see sunlight tomorrow. That's all I cared about. The year before, in 2018, I had a very good friend called DJ Gerps in the industry. Okay. Yeah. He died suddenly. I went to his funeral. I was very moved by it. While on the operating table, I had a vision of his funeral, but it was me in the coffin. And my kids and my wife were all dressed in black and they were crying. And I remember it vividly. And I'm not a guy who believes in this at all. I swear to God, I just had this vision. And I just thought, you can't be, this can't be right. This can't be happening. But then that changed me severely. And I think from there, I put my priorities right. I had a bypass in December. I don't remember the hardest bit was, and for every child or daughters especially, their dad is their hero. So you ask any girl, who's your hero? And 99% she'll say my dad. All right. After my bypass, I was lying there with about 100 wires and tubes coming out of me. Yeah. And my daughter came to see me and she saw me and she got so scared. Imagine seeing your hero like that, helpless on a hospital bed. And then I said to my wife, I said, don't bring her back here again. I don't want her to see me like this. And that was the hardest bit for me. And until I got walking up and about and the wires came off, I didn't let her come back and see me. And then she came and saw me, and it was hard because she doesn't know what a heart attack is. So we told her that daddy's got something wrong with his tummy. But what happened is that in the meantime, I'd put my video out on Facebook and I told people, look, this is what happened to me. I thought I had acid and I bloody had a heart attack. You lot need to get yourself checked out if you ever have this, get down to hospital. So some parents at a school of kids had seen the video and they told their kids and the kids had told her. And so even now, when you type in my name on Google, you'll get Harjap Bhangal lawyer, Harjap Bhangal funny, Harjap Bhangal videos. And then the sixth thing that comes up is Harjap Bhangal heart attack. So, Harjap Bhangal office address, you get all of that. So it's there for life. And we've had to explain it to her, look, daddy wasn't well, and this is what we need to do. And, once again, it's hard. It's hard telling your kids that you're vulnerable because they think you're going to be around forever.
Yeah. Have you changed your lifestyle on the back of that then? Are you kind of, or are you still, come on, party time, guys?
You know what? It's hard. So I reckon I'm about 50% where I need to be. Okay. Obviously, I can be better. So I still have some of the foods that I shouldn't be having, and I still have a drink here and there. But it's not every Friday night, let's get on it, or it's not like that before. Let's have fried food. I used to eat out 6 days a week at like curry places, 6 days a week. And every time I'd eat out, there'd be some sort of drinking element involved, even if it's just one or two. And I just did not care about my body.
The most important thing is, are you having your mum's cup of tea?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's all that matters.
It's green tea now.
Green tea now, gosh, you moved on. So what I just kind of briefly want to touch on also is, obviously, as you say, you're an immigration lawyer. You've been doing that for. Do you suddenly find that as soon as you say that, everyone wants to be your best mate? It's almost kind of like, oh, listen, I've got a friend, or I know someone, but really they're talking about either their cousin or their brother or their sister.
It's always a cousin. It's always a cousin.
Is it the cousin?
Like, he came for a wedding 15 years ago. And I'm like, oh, right, it's a bit of a long wedding, isn't it? Yeah. So the wedding's still not over. Yeah. Is it? But, yeah, I get that a lot, especially with Asians. And, there's a conversation where the word visa isn't mentioned. And sometimes that gets me down so much. I'm like, God, can we just have a normal conversation without talking about immigration or a visa? And it makes you like sort of careful because like you're just sitting there waiting for an angle. I just sit there waiting for a question. I'm like, all right, I don't know you. You've said hello. You've said blah, blah. Where's your question? What do you want to ask, right?
Did I hear a story about, I'm sure I did, or you might have posted it somewhere, about you going to the toilet and somebody confronting you with it?
True story. So I went to the toilet and this is true story. So doing my stuff as you are at the urinal, I felt a tap on my shoulder. And I thought, I goes, hello, bhai, sat sri akal. I said, sat sri akal, it's a bit of a weird place to say sat sri akal. Like, well, it goes, wait, Mari ek salah leni si. And I thought, you know what, my salah to you at the moment is just stand back, my Ravi. Otherwise, you're going to get splashes on your shoes and my shoes. And sari jutiya kharab ho jani hai. And, I get it at weddings. I remember I was at a wedding once and there's about 20 people sitting with me at a table. And someone goes, bhai, tusi aaye ho? And I goes, yeah. And he goes, I'm Mari salah leni si. And he pulled out a 300-page file. And I'm
at a wedding?
At a wedding. And everyone is looking at me like, is this what happens to you? And I'm like, yeah, this is like what happens to me. And I'm like, look, I'm at a wedding. And he goes, yeah, someone told us you're coming. So I thought my file dikhal dena bhai. And I thought, what the heck? Ah, mate, I can't even tell you.
Do you have to be kind of quite abrupt in the sense of, yes, you have to be polite, but you kind of go, look, I'm not here to do any work and what have you, but here's my card. You know, if you really do want the information. Or
yeah, it's not even that. I mean, people don't really have the concept of paid advice. People just think, you know what, we can ask someone anyway. And I'm sure it's just not me. If you're a doctor, I'm sure it's the same. I'm sure you get auntie at weddings showing you their knees and elbows. And if you're a dentist, and I'm sure some uncle's going to say, "Amari dekhi meri daar dukh rahi hai, meri akhan nahi dekh rahi, meri ainkan dekhi ke theek hai." If you're an optician, I think it just happens to everyone. Or an accountant, you know, it does happen. But I think that's just the way our community is. And God, and you have to be abrupt. And some people think, "Oh, you're a bit, you know, abrupt." And I said, "You know what? It's either that, or I can just sit here." And just people don't want to stop chatting till midnight.
Yeah. Are you kind of quite straight to the point in the sense of, if there's somebody who's asking you about getting a visa, or, you know, living in the UK, and you kind of look at it and go, "Listen, mate, you got no chance." Are you straight, or are you straight to the point, or are you kind of going?
I'm very known for that. I think that's one of the reasons for my popularity, because it's like Marmite. Some people like it and they go, "You know what? You're straight to the point. You tell it as it is, and that's how it should be. You don't sugarcoat things." I always say I'm not Willy Wonka. I don't sugarcoat things, right? So, and I think it's important that we do that. And then some people take it the wrong way, and I'm like, well, okay, do you want me to sweetly tell you lies? So people want to hear the truth, but they want to hear their own version of it, where it all works out okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, and our community is all about hearing what they want to hear, not hearing what they need to hear. I tell them what they need to hear, and they don't want to hear that. And sometimes it upsets them, and I'm like, well, you know, tough. You wanted the truth, and I told you that. If you don't want the truth, then don't come to me.
Yeah. And I assume some of them are kind of saying, well, what do I need to do or to say to make sure, kind of finding out how the system's working, so they can apply accordingly.
Yes, and we tell them. And we tell them, because it's not a loophole. It's what the law says, right?
Okay.
So if someone says, "Oh, I've been here illegally for 18 years. What do I need to do?" I tell them, you need to do another 2 years, because the law says if you've been here 20 years, you can get a visa. It doesn't matter if you've been here legally or illegally.
Yeah. So go back into hiding.
Yeah, basically, yeah. You've got another couple of years. See you in 2 years. Yeah. And they're like, "I'll see you in 2 years."
Yeah.
And so, you know, this is what you do. Or if someone says, "Right, I'm married with someone, or I want to get married. Is this a good option?" And we tell them, "Yeah, well, this isn't a good option. This is what you need to do. This is not a good option." That's the whole point of being a legal advisor. So we advise on what's in their best interest and what not. But obviously, people come to us with problems, and our job is to provide a solution to that.
Yeah. Does it sometimes, is there that kind of dilemma for you in terms of a moral issue where you kind of go, "This sounds like a sham marriage," and you're kind of going, "Gosh, do I really want to get involved in this?" Not that people are going to be forthcoming, but, you know, where you're trying to read between the lines. Is that ethically kind of issues for you? Or do you kind of go, obviously if they make you aware of it, but if they don't, then obviously that's a different scenario.
Yeah, once you become aware of it, it becomes an ethics issue. So you do have to step in and say, "Look, this is wrong. You shouldn't be doing this." And I can't really help you with that. Yeah. But sometimes people get a bit too honest and frank. Then they just tell you everything, and you're like, "Whoa, you know, you got to calm down here. I don't think you should be doing this." Right? But obviously, you know, it's people will do anything. People go to great lengths. People go to great lengths to get here. People go to great lengths to stay here. We've got to understand what sort of situation they come from and the desperation that drives them here. It's not greed; it's desperation. Yeah. So there's a big difference.
I mean, I was going to touch on that whole kind of thing of, I mean, when you hear about refugees currently, you know, you read in the news that young 16-year-old lad who recently, you know, was trying to make his way across the waters from France into the UK, and sadly he died. I mean, not from a legal perspective, what's your personal perspective generally in terms of borders and boundaries, that whole scenario?
Yeah, you know what? It's people, everyone has a right to prosper. Everyone has a right to prosper. So if we had a better life proposition in America or Canada, we would go there. Yeah. What the rules, and at a time there wasn't any borders and you didn't need visas to come here. There was a time in this country, if you landed here, you'd get baka. on arrival. Then it changed to 24 hours. Then it changed to 7 days. Then it changed to a few weeks. And that's all the way to 20 years, right? But there was a time like that. So the way I see it is someone, especially immigrants like our parents and stuff like that, if we've prospered using the system, we don't have a right to deny anyone else that a chance to prosper. Now, this is where the Brexit vote amongst the Asian community always shocks me. Like, so 50% of Asians voted for Brexit based on immigration. And the reasons they would cite is, oh, there's too many Polish here now. And I'm like, do you know that's what the English probably said when Uselot came and took over areas like Smethwick and Handsworth and Southall and Ilford? That's what they said. So I said, isn't that racist? And I'll be honest, Vimal, I find Asians are the most racist group of people I've ever met. And I don't hesitate in saying that. Not only are we racist, we divide our own races down into castes and subcastes, and we're casteist on that. We take it to a whole new level, and we are totally racist. You know, so we have got to get, we've got to get off our high horses, and we've got to change that as a community. The fact that we are moaning that there's too many Polish, when we have overtaken towns and cities, literally, you know, and then we get upset when the English people moan. There's a whole lot of understanding.
I mean, there's a real important point there that you've kind of picked up. It's that division. You know, I think you go back early on, 60s, 70s, the Asian community, they were united, they were one. But as time's gone on, it seems like there is kind of more and more division that's taking place, where suddenly somebody will go, wait there, I'm Muslim, I'm Hindu, I'm Sikh, I'm this caste, I'm that caste. And so suddenly it's being divided more. Is it their way of kind of saying we need this division because we feel we don't have a voice, or are there other underlying issues where suddenly it becomes all political, whereby it's a case of, oh wait there, I need to make this particular point because it supports a cause, maybe which is not necessarily here. It might be a cause in India or...
When people get well off and comfortable, Vimal, then they've got time for this sort of stuff. When you're desperate, if your child needed blood, yeah, and there was a Muslim donor, you wouldn't hesitate twice to accept that blood. You wouldn't say it's a Muslim's blood, I'm not having it, I'll let my child die rather than that. You have to be really, really on some sort of deranged to say that, yeah? That's because we have a need and we have desperation. When we're comfortable, we've got everything in life, then we start looking at division, and we are snobs. Asians are snobs. We all get caught up in the snobbery. So we'll live in an area like Handsworth and Smethwick, use that area to make a life for ourselves and make a bit of money. Instead of cleaning that area up, we'll moan about it. Then we'll move to Sutton and Solihull, yeah? And then we'll look down on the people who are moving into Handsworth, or the newly arrived immigrants there, or like, oh, you still in Handsworth? You still there? Oh no, we live in Sutton. Yeah, Sutton and Solihull people don't even class themselves as Birmingham, even though they've got Birmingham postcodes and 0121 phone numbers.
Mate, so like, I class myself as Birmingham. I do live in Sutton. I won't go into that.
Yeah, so I'm like, are you live in Birmingham? No, we live in Sutton Coldfield, but that's in Birmingham. No. Okay, all right then. But I'm sure it says B something on your postcode, and I'm sure your phone number starts with 0121. No.
To correct you, it's the royal town of Sutton Coldfield, just in case. No. I'm messing you around. What can we all do as communities, though, generally, to kind of unite ourselves? Because there is all this kind of division, and I mean, what can we do more of? You know, we can talk about education in school systems and within schools and that, but I mean, is there more that temples need to do, gurdwaras need to do, mosques need to do, where there is kind of more interaction of different communities, or sharing more of those stories? You know, as you've said, if somebody needs blood, and kind of going, look, you know, it doesn't matter about your race, your religion, your sexuality, you know, we are united.
The key word there you said began with E, education. I always say, it doesn't matter what the question is, the answer is always education. Think of any question, any problem, the answer is always education. And that's what it is. We have to educate ourselves. We have to educate our kids. We have to educate our parents. You know, we didn't get that education. We were taught up with this inherent system, which has been running for thousands of years, and we were told it was right. It's only when we begin to question it and we begin to grow up and we realize, well, hold on. I remember at uni, you know, when you listen to music, you buy into this whole caste system, or you buy into this, I'm Punjabi, and you know, we don't get on with you're Gujarati, and you know, you're Pakistani. We buy into that. This is my clique, this is my group. You know, actually it doesn't matter what you are. When we start valuing people as people and realizing they have feelings like us, emotions like us, they can get upset, they can get hurt, then we're going to resolve this problem. Education is the key. Education is the key. I'm sure you do as well. I look back at the Harjap 20 years ago, and I'm sure you look back at the Vimal 20 years ago, and you might think, okay, at that time it was all right. It was what it was, but I wouldn't want to go back to that person now. I'm much wiser. I wish I knew then what I know now. But that's what life's about. It's about growth. The other key word is the G word, growth. Your life is all about growth. We grow as individuals, and we just got to make sure we pass down to our children what's right and what's wrong. And I really respect those people who actually teach their kids what's right and what's wrong. And, you know, they've got good, well-balanced kids. You know, that's one of the hardest things to do, to make sure your kids turn out well-balanced.
Yeah.
So our parents didn't have that opportunity. They were too busy coming here, migrating here, and then earning and then living in joint families and making us. But the one thing our parents even strive to do, and it doesn't matter what your parent did, was to get you an education. Right? So education is the key. What is the best business amongst Asian communities? It's become a private tutor or open a school or college, because, and in India, the biggest business is education. So that's the value. We place a value on education so highly as a community, yet we fail to educate our kids, not academically, but in the basics of life, as in what's right and what's wrong.
Am I right to say that you actually have set up or involved in a charity in India to do with education?
Yeah, well, we're to do with educating the public as to not kill girls, as to not do female foeticide. So we have this charity called Unique Home for girls in Jalandhar, and we have a UK Friends of Unique Home here, which is run here, and we hold events and we educate people. Look, because Punjab has a very high female foeticide rate, especially in the district where I come from, Namasher, Shahid Bhagat Singh Nagar, named after such an important figure in world history, Shahid Bhagat Singh. Yet we have a high female foeticide rate where if you find out you're going to have a girl or you have a baby girl, the baby girl is killed or abandoned, left on a railway track, left in a dumpster in a black bag somewhere for animals to eat. And what this woman, incredible woman called Bibi Prakash Kaur in Jalandhar does, is she goes around and she adopts these kids. She finds these kids and says, don't kill them, give them to me. I'll bring them up in her orphanage as it is. And she brings up these baby girls and she's looking after about 100 odd girls. And, you know, we create awareness to that, you know, if you don't want your female child, don't kill them, you know, but there's no reason why you shouldn't want a female child. But once again, education is the key. These people are not educated. They think a male child is everything.
If people wanted to get involved here from the UK, what would they need to do? Would they just go onto their website, or
go onto our Facebook page, UK Friends of Unique Home, support our events, which we do. We had an event planned for, you know, in May, and coronavirus, obviously it wasn't, you know, it doesn't mean it's going to go ahead. We're planning it again next year, obviously depending on how, you know, what the virus update is. But yeah, please go and see the home yourself in Jalandhar. I make people go there and see it themselves. Have a look, chat to these girls, find out about their lives and how they're being kept there. And, you know, and then what we aim to do is, until the girl is married, we look after them. Even some girls, they want to study abroad. We've helped them get to Canada, UK to study abroad, get an education abroad. So, you know, I've got, my baby daughter is my everything. And she's 8 years old. After all of these years, 14, 15 years of marriage, we had, you know, a baby daughter. I'm blessed, changed my whole outlook on life. But even now, to this day, people even who are living in the UK, people born here still have that mentality. So when it comes to property division or leaving a will, who do you think gets who's going to get all your houses, Vimal? It's going to be the lads. We hardly even leave the girls anything. We think, you know what, you're married now. It's up to your husband to look after you and leave you everything, right? And then it's up to your in-laws to leave your husband something, right? But why shouldn't the girl get an equal right in the property? So I'm going to make that change. I'm going to make sure all my kids get it equally. Not even that. I'm not even going to say that. I'm going to say the ones who turn out good and the ones who turn out respectful and respect me, they're going to get a share, and hopefully they both will. If I've got a kid who goes to prison and I've got one who's been very respectful, the one who's gone to prison, mate, he's not going to get anything, or she's not going to get anything. I don't care. Equality can do one as far as I'm concerned there.
Yeah.
If you follow life's values and principles, then you're deserving. If you do the opposite, you get what you deserve. You're not going to get that. So, but we do have that here. So I've got I heard the other day that I got a friend and she was complaining. She goes, you know what? Left it all to the lads. Our parents passed away, left it all to the lads. We as girls, we were right there till the end, going around to see our mum every day, got left nothing. And she goes, it's not that we need something, but it just shows we'll never be equal to the boys.
I mean, I'd like to think that it is changing, and I think it is. It's when it comes down to people like yourself, like me, where we kind of go, you know what? It is about treating girls equally, if not better. I mean, I've got a daughter, and for me, it's always a case of, listen, if you're not better, if you're not equal, you're way better than the lads. I always kind of drum that into her, because sadly in our community, women are always kind of seen as not as good. There's always that kind of thing. So you're kind of like, no, we need to change that mindset again. And I'm glad to say there are many who adopt a similar kind of approach, going, it's how you treat us, and who'll be left what will be based on whether you're a good person, so
it should be based on merit.
Yeah, totally.
And this is another thing I find. Not only are we a racist community, we're a sexist community.
Yeah.
If we look at all of our positions of importance, there's hardly a woman there.
Mm.
The other day I had someone goes, name me a famous Punjabi woman. And I was struggling.
Yeah.
I was struggling. And I was like, UK born Punjabi famous woman. And I was like, all right, okay. I'm really struggling here. And I thought of a few, and I thought, they're never pushed forward. So if you're a female out there who's doing it, you get double my respect, because not only are you battling, our community's views, but you're battling sexism, and it could even be started within your own home.
Yeah, totally.
So even look at our.
I was going to say, have you got any vacancies going? The women can start applying.
Yeah, mate, I employ all females. Okay. So that one thing that I'm known for, I hardly ever employ males. So I always employ Asian females, and I push them forward. One, I find them hardworking. Yeah. Two, I find there's less drama. Three, I find out they're very focused, and why not give them the opportunity? Brilliant. So I'm all about female empowerment. One of my pet topics on my TV and radio shows is always about female empowerment in the Asian community and how we lack on that, and we need to do that. And when our mums will talk that all they're good for is making chapatis and breeding children. That's literally what they were told. They grew up with that. They couldn't have any life. They couldn't have anything, career or anything. We need to change all of that. We need to tell your daughter. I'm glad you tell that. And I'm glad a lot of people where it's changing. Because where I look, I still see inherent sexism in our Gurdwaras, in our mandirs, and places like this. Look on the Gurdwara committee. It's all males. You get two token females, and guess what we do to them? We put them in charge of the kitchen. And then on top of that, when we have an announcement in the Gurdwara, it's always Bibiyan aa sakdiyan kitchen nu. Bandeyan de hath tutte ho. Why can't the bande go and make rotis?
Yeah.
Why can't? And it's there is so much sexism there. I look forward to the day when everything in Asian sort of organizations and institutions is 50-50. 50% of my household is made up of women. Yeah. And maybe 50% of your household is made up of women.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
But in our institutions, women are nowhere near 50%.
Yeah, we need to change it.
We need to change that a lot. We need to tell women, you know what? Stop believing what these men tell you.
Yeah.
Go out there, do what you want, achieve what you want,
Totally.
You know, become what you want. And I always say to my kids, I don't want you to become like me. I want you to become better than me.
Yeah.
I want everyone's kid to become better than me. You should become a better person than I am. Because even if you think I'm a good person, I want you to be better.
Yeah.
So and that's what you'll always want for your kids.
Yeah. What's next for you, Harjap, in the sense that you've touched on doing movies and what have you?
Yeah.
Do you want to do more movies, or do you kind of want to be the lead role, or do you see yourself as the bad guy? Do you see yourself as the hero? Or
I know what I look like. I've got a mirror, so I'm all right on the hero aspect. I'm all right, and I don't think I'm nasty enough to be a villain. But I'm just happy doing my roles, like in a comedy role, or in a straight talking sort of role. I couldn't believe. I'll tell you how I got my first film role. Yeah, it was a Saturday, and I was in the office doing a half day, and I never picked my phone up from a withheld number. I'm known for that, right? Last call, I saw a withheld number or a private number calling, and I thought, shall I pick it up? And I thought, what about if someone from India? Then they were going to talk to you for an hour. You can't even put the phone down, right? So I thought, all right, I'll take a risk. Picked it up. And he said, "Sat Sri Akal, Paji, Sat Sri Akal ji. Harjap Bhangal bol rahe hain?" And I said, yeah. And he goes, "Aise India to bol rahe hain." And I thought, damn, man, they're going to ask me about visa advice now. These guys won't get off the phone, right? And I said, "Hanji, dasso." And he goes, "Aise Bombay to bol rahe hain." And I thought, it's usually Punjab. Why are you calling from Bombay? He goes, "I'm a film director." And I said, "Tusi visa lona? You want a visa?" And he goes, I'm straight to the point. And he goes, "No." And he goes, "Tusi immigration di koi salah leni?" No. And he goes, "See Harjap na gal karni hai." I said, "All right, I'm Harjap talking." And I said, "Well, Tusi, he goes, "We're coming like to abroad to make a film." I said, "What, do you want some people to smuggle in as part of your crew or whatever?"
Gosh,
What are you doing? Yeah, you want some dodgy cameraman who's never held a camera and he's going to leg it after 2 days. And he goes, "No." He goes, "Buddy, will you stop talking about visas?" I said, "All right." And he goes, "We want to offer you a role in a film."
Right.
And he said that. And when he said that, I thought, this is a wind up.
Yeah.
And he goes, "We're shooting a film in Canada. We've got Neeru Bajwa, Jimmy Shergill. This is my name. Check me out. We've got Sargun Mehta." I thought, what? And I thought, I'm a lawyer. You know that.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "What's the role? Don't turn me into a Prem Chopra type, or Ranjit type role." I said, "The aunties are going to kick my head in when I get back and say, "How to get guitar job film?" And this is not the job. And he goes, "No, all you got to do is play yourself." And I said, "What?" I said, "How did this come about?" He goes, "We saw your YouTube videos and we are going to base a character on you."
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the persons goes, "Why don't you just ask Harjap to play it himself?"
Yeah.
And so we're phoning you. He goes, "Check me out." I said, no. Obviously, I said, "All right, I'll get back to you." I checked him out and everything. It was all legit. I went to Canada. They greeted me. My first day on set, um, I went to see what the shooting was about. And there was this young Sardar Munda, now I know him to be a YouTube sensation, and his name's Arki Kandola. After his shot, he came and see me. He goes, "Are you the YouTube immigration guy?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Yeah, well, for want of a better description, that's me." And he goes, "Oh my God." He goes, "I'm more happy to see you than I am Neil." And Neil was next to me. And I was like, "Oh dear, this is not going to go well." He goes, "Oh, we used to watch, we watched your videos in college and stuff like that." And I thought, that makes me feel old. Right.
Yeah.
He goes, so we watched that. And he goes, and then he goes, "That's a great character you play, bro." And he goes, "That's really good. I love the way that, you played the character of a lawyer." And I said, "What character?" He goes, "That's not a character. That's live. That's me in real life. These are all live callers." And he goes, "Oh my God, that's really you? You like, that's what you do?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Now I've even got more respect for you." And he goes, so this whole Canada, I've got this huge following in Canada. And he goes, "Yeah, the people love you in Vancouver, in Toronto, Calgary." And then my first day, shooting was with Jimmy Shergill. And I'm like, this is a guy I've grown up watching, he's worked with like the Hrithik Roshan, Amitabh Bachchan, all these big guys. And I'm just a job from Southall, right? And so I went there, and I remember, so I was giving my take and I couldn't get it right. And someone goes to me, "You know what, have a drink." And I
Okay.
and I had one shot And mate, I gave everything in one take
Yeah.
after that. And they go, yeah, okay, now we know how you work.
Yeah.
so like, no, literally, you know, it's a hard thing. And I thought, this is hard, and it's, you know, it's not an easy thing. Where you think, right, well, how hard can it be acting?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's a hard thing. And after that, I got film offers. I'm on my 4th, 5th film now.
Right. And do you always play yourself, or are you playing characters now, or are you?
I'm playing characters now, you know,
Yeah.
so the characters are expanding. In a couple of
Yeah.
films, I've played myself. I
Yeah.
mean, I thought, when am I going to get to play myself in a
Brilliant.
film?
Yeah.
Brilliant. It's like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I do that. And it's not because I want to get into films, right? Or I see myself as a great actor.
Yeah.
It's just, I want to leave home a legacy.
Yeah.
So when I went to watch the film, I went to watch it with my daughter. And so I went to watch it with my daughter and my family and my mum. You know, for me, from my mum seeing me on the cinema, my daughter seeing me on the cinema, it was a big moment for me.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I walked out of the theatre and I said, Cushy, what did you think? And she goes, Daddy, you did very good talking to the boy. And the boy was Jewish girl. So
Yeah.
I said, well, thanks. That's a great summary of what I just did in the film. But yeah, and you know, that was one of the memories that stick out. And now it's on TV and time again. And, you know, so I do my stuff to leave a legacy. And then whatever I do, whether it's the radio shows, the YouTube thing, because the biggest thing I see on Facebook as a regret status is, Dad, I wish I could have spent more time with you. Dad, I wish I had photos of you. Dad, I wish I had memories of you. So what I do now is I create memories and I leave that for my kids. And it's irony, because before I had my heart attack on Tuesday. On Monday, I was on the BBC Asian Network and I was talking about exactly this topic. So what I do now is, I've been doing it for a year. I make little videos of advice for my kids and I put them all on a pen drive. And after I die, I'm going to give it to them. So I leave a video for advice for when you're angry, when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling down, when you're feeling happy, when you've had a fight with your partner, when you've had a fight with your kids, you know, when you've achieved something, when you've failed at something. I'm making videos, little 2-3 minute videos of advice that I would give people, but I'm giving it for my kids.
Yeah.
So, and I got this idea of watching Superman. So, you know, when Superman wants advice from his parents, he just puts that crystal in.
Yeah.
And his parents come up and give him advice and he can talk to them. This is what I sort of want to happen. And because we didn't have that media, we didn't have that opportunities. We can't get our dads to, from beyond the grave, to talk to us. And there are times when we need that, to listen to that.
Totally.
But for this way, and I tell every parent that if you do that, leave that for your kids, they'll be grateful for it. Because one day when they're upset, instead of hitting the bottle, they'll put that USB in and say, right, let's see what Dad would have said. And
Definitely.
And they'll remember you as you are now, and not maybe when you're in your deathbed, or, you know, when you're old and you can't walk, or when you're half doolally or crazy, you know. So it's
those would be quite interesting if you're a bit doolally and crazy, kind of leaving advice. I think that would be,
probably it'll be the Buddha stuff.
Yeah. But listen, Harjap, it's been so wonderful chatting to you. You've really given us a great insight, just generally. There's been a range of topics that we've covered. Just if people wanted to contact you, so the name of your organisation is it?
We're GLS solicitors, so we're in Birmingham, we're in Southall. Ask anyone in West Brom, Harjap Daftar Gatia, or in Southall Gatia. Otherwise, I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Insta, I'm all over the show. People.
And your TV channel that you do?
MATV, Sky 7/11 every Friday, 7 p.m. BBC Asian Network once a month. I'm on Monday actually, as we speak. So I started off doing a show with Nihal. And it's been an experience. I've been doing the BBC Asian Network for more than 10 years now. Time's just flown by. Wow. So people can catch me wherever. What I do say is, please don't message me on Instagram asking for advice.
Just catch you in the toilets.
Mate. Oh God. And please, if you ever see me in the toilet, or having a burger or somewhere, please keep your immigration questions to yourself. Please, if you're gonna have a conversation with me, please don't use the V word. Please. It's my challenge. My challenge every night when I go out is, can I have a conversation without saying the word visa? And I've never ever succeeded.
Oh gosh. Well, the one thing I was going to just mention was that you don't support a great football side, do you?
Oh, well, Tottenham for our sins.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. So, mate.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is our season. This is our year. I've heard Liverpool fans say this is our year for 30 years, and it finally happened. So if I say it for the next 30 years, maybe our year will happen.
Maybe it is. Yeah. I mean, I'm a Villa fan, so we've done all right. We've stayed up, so which is fine. Yeah. The only one thing as Villa fans that we always kind of say, which is great to a Tottenham fan, is have you ever won the European Cup? Which is just kind of like standard, but
yeah, of course.
But listen, Harjap, I just want to say thank you. Yeah, I want to just say thank you, and I'm going to stop recording. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
It's been a great experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.